These videos will make you question everything. So remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. Let's check it out.
A Japanese spacecraft made a historic landing on the moon today, making Japan just the 5th country to touch down on the lunar surface. But the lander's solar panels aren't generating electricity, and its battery was expected to run out today. A doomed U.S. spacecraft that was supposed to land on the moon next month burned up over the Pacific yesterday as it entered Earth's atmosphere. A Japanese spacecraft made a historic...
Y'all keep saying that nobody's ever landed on the moon and that space isn't real, but why is everybody trying so hard to get to the moon? Tell me that. Explain that one to me. If we never been, it's fake, space is fake, it's all an illusion and different things like that. Why is everybody in all these countries trying so hard to get there and land and discover things and do things? Don't make sense. It don't add up to me.
The SLIM has been communicating to the Earth station, and it is receiving command from the Earth accurately, and the spacecraft is responding to this in a normal way. However, it seems that the solar cell is not generating electricity at this point in time. And since we are not able to generate electricity, and so the operation is being done using batteries.
Well, first and foremost, landing was made and communication was established. So a minimum success was made in my view. As for the details and detailed data assessment, this will take place in the future. So what about the precision within 100 meters and so on? That assessment is still open. So going forward, by assessing the data and so on, we will make many more findings.
The SLIM.
I know everybody is like, this is distraction. Why are we talking about this? Why is this going on? We got to pay attention to everything, man. The moon landings and different things is still an important and vital thing that we have going on. Now, Japan is kind of one step closer right now to discoveries and different things like that. We got to step our game up. But yeah, at the same time, there is a lot going on here on Earth. I agree with y'all on that. I'm just saying what I know y'all are going to respond in the comment section about a lot of this. You know what I mean? This could be a potential distraction. We got a lot going on here on this planet that we should be focused on instead of worrying about the moon, all of this type of stuff. I get it. I get it. But this is still important in my opinion, man. Those discoveries made in space are very, very crucial and vital.
Japan announced that its probe has landed on the moon, except it's not working.
Japan's smart lander for investigating moon, known as SLIM, landed at 12:20 a.m. local time, but the probe's solar panels were not able to generate electricity. That's according to the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency.
What they're saying is the probe was supposed to land with solar panels pointed towards the sun, but instead it landed with the solar panels on the bottom, staring at the moon dust.
Unlike other moon missions, Japan was shooting for a pinpoint landing, trying to place this unmanned spacecraft in a specific area. But officials say there was an issue with the power supply and the solar battery was not generating power. With just a few hours of battery left, they were focused on gathering as much data as...
You'd think if the U.S. could land on the moon with people when I was 6 years old, it wouldn't be that hard to put a probe on the moon over 50 years later. Unless, of course, you know, Shabadoo Booskies, Shabadoo, Chip.
I get it, man. I get it, bro. But I keep telling y'all, it is not easy to land anything. A lunar lander, people, anything like it. That is not easy, fam. It's so much math and calculations that need to go into it. You got to be right while adjusting. That's the thing that people don't take into account as well. You got to be adjusting. So the calculations that you may have set for everything to go right, something could change it. So now you got to adjust on the fly, come up with different calculations, bro. That stuff ain't easy. I get it. People just think it's so easy to do this stuff. It is not.
Guys, I was going to take the day off and not do a video, but Japan decides to land on the moon. That's right. After landing not too far south of the Apollo 11 landing site, Japan has officially become the 5th country to land on the moon. The SLIM spacecraft, which stands for Smart Lander for Investigating Moons, successfully had a soft landing this morning. Oh, and its nickname is the Moon Sniper, which is pretty bad. And apart from gathering more data on the moon and becoming a player in the moon game, the purpose of this mission was to show us precision landing in the range of a football field as opposed to miles. The data still needs to be analyzed, and mostly things seem great, except apparently Slim's solar battery isn't generating power, and it only has a few hours of battery left. So gather as much data as you can. But fun fact, it has a Star Wars-like probe on board, and its purpose is to pop open like a transformer, wiggle across the lunar surface, and beam back images to Earth. And the Transformers part is intentional, as JAXA teamed up with Takara Tomy, the creator of the original Transformers toy. And this little guy might send us images of the moon's mantle, as it's believed to be exposed in this crater. But despite the issues with the solar power, this is a huge success. So congratulations to Japan.
Hey, I'll rock with her too, man. I piss them off too. They get mad. It is what it is. We're gonna go back and forth for the rest of our lives. You know what I mean? But yeah, I agree with her that it is a success. It didn't crash. You know what I mean? It didn't explode. It didn't, you know, and it has, even though it has not much power, it's not that much power left in it. It was able to let out the little transformer thing so it can beam back images and do different things. So overall, that's still a success. That's still a win in my book. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. I'm interested to see what type of images come back. I'm definitely want to see that, man. And then if they can figure out what's at the core, how hot it is, or if there is a hollow core, maybe that one's for the conspiracy theories, or is there a hot, warm core for the moon? So getting any type of data back is going to be interesting and fun. You know what I mean? In my opinion.
Now, landing on the moon is hard. In the last 6 months alone, 3 lunar missions have spectacularly failed.
That's what I'm saying.
JAXA, the Japanese Space Agency, does have some advantage. It's based its lander on the design of this one, Hayabusa 2, which they managed to land on a tiny asteroid way out in the solar system. And not only that, bring back a sample of the asteroid's material. Now, why is that precision landing important? Well, it all comes down to moon rocks. And here at the Science Museum in London, they've actually got a piece of the moon. This was brought back by the Apollo astronauts. And while moon rock doesn't look that exciting, it contains interesting minerals. And also, at discrete locations on the moon's surface, water ice. That could be crucial for building future lunar bases. If you want to exploit that ice, you need to get as close to it as possible. And that's why JAXA are hoping to demonstrate a precision landing to give them an edge in a future conquest. Now, landing on the moon is...
Now, you heard them talking about minerals and stuff like that. I take it a step further. I think it's more out there, or more that they know about they're not telling us. You know what I mean? It's something on the moon that it seems like everyone is in a race to get to. I don't know what it is, and I don't know how valuable it is, but I think it's pretty valuable, and they're not telling us about it. That is one conspiracy theory that I have. Like, I feel like each planet is known for something, and it has a rarity, and it's very valuable. And if I feel like they're on a race to go from each planet to see and get it and obtain it for that reason and to benefit from it. But that's just me thinking.
Yesterday, Japan landed a spacecraft on the moon. So if we had a good enough telescope, could we see that spacecraft on the lunar surface from Earth? The thing that's going to matter to answer this question is the resolution of your telescope, which tells you how close together 2 objects can be, but still be perceived as 2 separate objects as opposed to just one. The smallest angle that can be resolved is given by 1.22 times the wavelength of light that you're looking at divided by the diameter of your telescope. So we can rearrange this to see how big of a telescope we need to get the angular resolution that we want.
See what I mean? All this math, my brain is already starting to hurt. I feel like I'm back in trigonometry and all those math classes, bro. Whew.
So the first thing we need to do is calculate delta theta, which is the angle corresponding to how big that rover looks on the moon. The moon is roughly 384,400 kilometers away, and the SLIM rover is about 2 meters on a side. So that means this triangle is this triangle. It's 384 million meters on one side, 2 meters on another, and we want to solve for the angle. We're going to bring in a little trigonometry, say the tangent of our angle is equal to the opposite side over the adjacent side, which is big.
Yep. That's
This
exactly
gives
what
an
I was
angle
thinking.
that's on the order of -7 degrees, or 10 to the -9 radian. So how big of a telescope do you need to resolve this angle? We
A
come
big
back to
one.
our equation up here. Let's say we're looking at light in a wavelength of 550 nanometers. That's green light, kind of right in the middle of the visible range of wavelengths, and we can plug these in and find the diameter. So upon solving this equation, we get a diameter of a telescope of around 129 meters. Now remember, this is the minimum number you need to just barely resolve from one side of the lander to the other. To actually be able to tell anything about the condition of the lander, we're talking hundreds, maybe up to 1,000 meters across. The largest telescope on Earth that sees invisible wavelengths of light is around 10 meters in diameter. So we are orders of magnitude smaller than what we need to resolve a lander on the moon. The moon is just too far away and the lander is just too small. Yesterday, Japan landed...
I was thinking, you know what I mean? But I would have never been able to do that calculation. So it was always just a thought that was just going to live in my brain. You know what I'm saying? But I'm glad she did the calculations. And once she said 129, I was like, I didn't know if that was going to be really, really big, but I felt like it. That's why I was like a big one. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I'm glad she answered that question because I was thinking that. I'd be thinking that with some of the landings. I was like, man, I wonder with a regular telescope or maybe just one that is pretty modified can actually see that far. You know what I'm saying? And now she's answered that question. Thank you.
Japan says problems with its moon lander may cut short the lunar mission. On Friday, the country became only the 5th to land a craft on the moon. Japan's space agency says the so-called sniper probe has made contact with Earth, but its solar panels are not working, potentially because they are angled incorrectly. The craft is on low battery mode, which may give it only a short operational time. Its precise location is unknown. Japan says problems with...
Everyone in there watching on those monitors, let me pull it up. I know they stressed out. Bro, they gonna need some type of therapy and stress debriefing and everything. They gonna need a vacation after this is over. I know they stressed out, bro. Think about what all actually takes place and goes into that to get there and now have to deal with all this. I'm pretty sure they're pretty trained for this, but still and all, man, it's gotta suck for them.
Did you know Japan just became the 5th country to land on the moon? Yeah, JAXA landed their moon sniper, the slim lander on the moon. One problem though, it appears if their telemetry data is right, it was supposed to come down to the moon and kind of lay on its back. But if the telemetry data is right, when it started to land, it did more one of these. And now it's stuck there until the sun shines on its solar panels. It did let out the two adorable little Lev 1 and Lev 2, like the one's like this ball, and it just kind of rolls around. It does this wobble thing, kind of just does this cool little thing like that, like this. And then the other one just bounces. It just kind of bounces. But it's pretty cool. Go check them out. We'll find out more soon, I'm sure. Did you
ever seen somebody who just needed a reason to play in the snow? Ever seen that from... Here you have it right here. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. The play-by-play was the best. It was the best. It was the best, bro. It got me in tears, to be honest with you, man. Very, very funny, but bro just felt like he needed a reason to go, and he used the moon landing as his reason to go play in the snow. But he gave a great play-by-play, though, so salute to him for that. I loved it.
Next, Japan has become the 5th country to land on the moon after a craft dubbed Moon Sniper touched down on the lunar surface, but the uncrewed vessel has a technical fault, which means it may soon run out of power. Our science correspondent, Palab Ghosh, has more.
Japan's lunar lander has touched down with a soft landing, but there's been a glitch. Its solar panels aren't working, so unless it's fixed, the spacecraft will run out of power. But experts say that the mission has achieved 99% of its aims.
This was all about precision landing. They They haven't confirmed the exact precision of the landing, but they're the fifth nation to land successfully on the moon, and I think that is a huge success.
Flight engineers are pouring through the spacecraft's data and will report next week on what went wrong. But an awful lot went right. They successfully tested an advanced face recognition system to home in on the landing site. And it also deployed one of its mini lunar rovers, able to hop where no rover has hopped before. But not another one, which can literally roll back the frontiers of knowledge.
It's a new way of doing space exploration, and a big part of it is to bring down the costs so that we can de-risk these missions, do more of them at a faster turnaround, and hopefully get both more science and exploration out of each one.
The team at the Open University are building an instrument for a future mission involving both Japan and India, as well as the UK. Japan's achievement is the start of a new rush to the moon. India got there last year, and later in 2024 there'll be several US attempts. And by the end of the decade there'll be Chinese and European missions, so it's all getting very interesting. In the 1960s and 70s it was all NASA.
On the moon one day.
But now it's an international race. A small fleet of spacecraft are on their way to lay the ground for humans to return. They're going because there are minerals and resources on the moon which will be used to build launch sites to go to Mars and beyond. And this time, the plan is to stay for the long term. Palab Ghosh, BBC News.
Next.
And you know everybody gonna be like, oh, this is CGI. This is just CGI. Y'all, come on, guys. Don't believe this. Don't believe this. No, fam. It is a real, legitimate race to the moon. This is real. You know what I mean? And this landing puts pressure on everyone else. Even though it wasn't a success like they wanted it to be, it still was a success. So now this puts pressure on everyone else. It's gonna get interesting, man. Pay attention, y'all.
Listen to this. We lost the communication. So we have to assume that we could not complete the landing on the lunar surface.
Listen to this.
We lost the communication.
Yo, those dudes look like they almost in tears, man. They look like they are so let down. They hurt. Like, they hurt. Like, I feel their pain, man. That's a lot of work that goes into that. Like, look at them, man. It looks like the wind has been just knocked out of them. You can see them, man.
A Japanese company tried to land on the moon, but it failed. The Japanese company iSpace hoped to be the first private entity to land on the moon. On April 25th, iSpace CEO Takeshi Hakamada and the team of engineers watched excitedly as the Hakuto R craft descended from lunar orbit and neared to the lunar surface.
Hakamada-san, doesn't this look amazing?
Well, this is real video.
Yes.
Not CG.
No.
It's amazing.
But communication was lost moments before it was due to land at 12:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And our simulation might have lost its connection with the MCC. No reason for concern yet. We are still seeing the animation going. And now we are at the moment of planned landing time. Again, everyone, please give us a few moments to confirm.
Engineers are investigating what went wrong with the landing. But the company said it was likely that the spacecraft eventually made a hard landing, which can cause significant damage to the lander.
We will keep going. Never quit. Do not quest.
So far, no private company has been able to send a spacecraft to the moon. The US, China, and the former Soviet Union are the only countries to have successfully made a lunar landing, all missions sponsored by a government. A Japanese company tried to land on...
So that was the previous one that crashed. So you see, like, you see what happens here? This isn't easy, man. They looked like this is stressful, bro. So for this one Now to land but have no power, that's still a step closer for them, and they can still get a lot of data out of it, you know, compared to the last one that they weren't able to get anything from.
T-minus 10, 6, 5, 4, 3. We have ignition. And liftoff of the first United Launch Alliance Vulcan rocket, launching a new era in spaceflight to the moon and beyond.
Coming up on 60 seconds into the flight, everything looking good.
Wow.
Pressure. Everything looking good. We're rolling off of the SRBs. And we have separation of both SRBs. Everything looking good.
T-minus 10.
I get so mad because I always seem to miss it. I always miss this stuff because you know they do it, like they'll live stream it. You know what I mean? So you can watch it actually take place. You ain't got to like physically be there. And I always miss it. I always hear about the landing. I don't never get to hear about the takeoff or none of that and watch the takeoff. Now, I want to watch it live. I do.
Someone I know didn't believe we went to the moon. So I said, what kind of evidence would convince you? He said, images of the landing site of the Apollo missions. So I said, okay, here's a website where we sent a orbiter to the moon so that it was close enough, because ground-based telescopes, they don't have the resolution to see the landing sites. But if you get close enough to the moon, you can. It photographed the entire surface of the moon, and there were the landing sites, and you saw the rover tracks, the base for the lunar module. That night, he went home and found it. Then he came back and says, well, NASA could have faked that. I'm done with you. We have no more to talk about. Because he's not ready to be convinced. Someone I know didn't believe we...
Agreed, man. Some people you just cannot have that conversation with. They'll never be convinced. You would literally have to take them by the hand, put them on some type of craft, take them to the moon, let their feet hit the ground, and you know what? To be honest with you, they still may be like it's fake. It's just some people you just cannot convince, man. And I'm okay with that. And y'all have to be okay with that, or you're just going to be arguing with yourselves.
1969, American men landed on the moon and they come back home. After that time, Japanese rocket went to the moon without men and kamikaze style landing, which means crashing into the moon. But next time, please bring the Japanese space firework so everybody can see from the Earth. And everybody believe we did it. Seeing it is believing it. Kanpai! 1969.
Not everybody, but I get what you're saying. You know what I mean? For those of us who are believers and don't think it's CGI, but not everybody believes.
Japan finally did it. They finally landed on the moon, and they have become the 5th country in the entire world to make it. They're right behind the United States, India, China, and the former Soviet Union. The main reason for landing on the moon was to prove that they are still a factor in the space race between all the countries, and to research the origins of the moon and to test out the landing equipment. The landing equipment that they're testing out is in order to be able to land anywhere on any kind of terrain on the moon, not just in a specific area that's quote-unquote safe for a orbiter to land. This is pretty exciting. Right now they've had some difficulties with their solar panels not working, so they could be without energy for a few weeks, but it's exciting to see where they're going to be able to go from there, what kind of research is going to come from this landing from Japan. Japan finally did it. They finally...
Yeah, they gonna find something, discover something, man. I got hope. Nobody else has hope, but I got hope, bro. I know they gonna bring back some good information, man. I can't wait to see what it is.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm not gonna break it. Let me ask you anything. Deck's on, Mark. That max acceleration? No. Man, you are really bouncing. Okay,
Highly Hollywood versus Bollywood. Who did it best, man? Y'all get on my nerves, bro. But we gotta coexist. I gotta deal with y'all. I gotta live with it. It is what it is, man. Y'all ain't gonna always swear. There's some set that has all of this type of stuff going on. I get it, man. I get it. Listen, y'all get at me in the comment section and let me know what you thought of these videos, man. Do you believe it's real? Do you believe it's fake? It's CGI? Or are you rooting for everyone in this space race? How do you feel about it? Put it in the comment section and stick around and stay tuned. Till next one, I'm gone.